Hey guys, I've got a message for you today, and I'm really passionate about this, and so I really want you to listen to all of this, guys. So after what I shared yesterday, it was very raw and vulnerable and real, and I actually found that really hard, and I didn't really understand why I had to do that. Why I felt like God was just revealing this vulnerability from my heart to share with the world. But he really spoke to me. And guys, I am human, so there are times I might share videos where it is just really raw, like this is what I feel, this is what I'm dealing with. And he's shown me that it's okay and to not be ashamed. But yeah, I've got a message for today, and I just kind of want to give a bit of a backstory to why I'm sharing this message. So after obviously uploading that video, I just feel like the enemy was trying to have a dig at me, kind of questioning, why did you talk about that, blah blah blah. And to put it bluntly, I was quite upset, I was quite distressed. I think God had just kind of really revealed raw pain that was hidden, and I wasn't expecting that. And I was so caught up in myself and everything really, that I lost sight to what he was trying to say to me through it. So God gave me a vision this morning, and I know he was using it to speak to me, but I know he's using it to speak to all of you. Like, this message is not for just me, it's not just if you're a Christian, this is for everyone. Like, you need to hear this, you literally need to hear this, because I think I'm going to title this message, it's the Father's heart. Okay, before I go into the vision, I just want to say, in my relationship with God, throughout my life, he has been like a father figure to me. So those of you might know me in person or from my video, I did say I don't know my dad, and I don't have any resentment for that, because I'm free. Like, Jesus has broken like the chains from that. However, having that missing part, Jesus has really shown me the Father's love for me, and he was that missing piece in my identity in my life. So because of that, I've naturally had a close relationship with God, but there are times where I have been so lost in the world. So yeah, God really is like a father to me, and so because of that, this is how it links to my vision. So in my hurt, in my upsetness and pain, I saw a really clear vision, and in this vision I saw myself kind of like crying, but it was only for like 5 seconds. In the vision I only just saw like a glimpse of that hurt, and then before I even had time to think, I saw Jesus there, and he kicked this like brick door down. He kicked it down, right, and it all crumbled apart. And then there were these chains on me, and with his bare hands I saw him rip and break the chains, and before I even had time to think, he embraced me in his arms, he hugged me, and after how I was feeling, it was such a powerful thing to see, because God showed me what he meant by that, and he was like, Beth, you keep looking at that vision, keep focusing on it, because there's a reason for why I need you to focus on that. So what God was saying to me is this: sometimes in our hurt and our brokenness, we don't even have the strength to call out for help, or we don't have the strength to call to him. And in this vision, I didn't go, oh God, help me, oh look at me, I'm over here hurt, help me. I didn't even call out to him. He said to me, before he sees us, right? He saw me in that, and before I even had a chance to do anything, he was there, and he broke that chains. He broke that. And God said to me, I don't need permission to do that, because you are my daughter. And like, he really showed me the example of what a father is in that moment. Because, guys, those of you, I don't know what your experiences are of a loving father. Some of you might have amazing families where you've had a really great representation of a father, and some of you may not have had that in your life. And I just want to say, like, I'm sorry if you've not had a good representation of a father. But even if you have, like, Jesus was saying to me, okay, I don't know if you've seen the film Taken, like that action film, classic. And I'm going to quote this wrong, but there's a line that is like, so basically his daughter goes missing, gets taken for like human trafficking, I think it was, and the father in it, he's like some FBI like person, and as soon as he finds out his daughter is missing, he goes to the ends of the earth. He literally fights to find his daughter and to save her. And there's a moment in it where he was, the classic line, I'll probably get it wrong, but he was like, I will find you, and when I find you, I will kill you. And, you know, I know it's a bit dramatic, but that sense of fighting for his child to the point he will destroy anything that's in the way of getting to his child is the heart of God that he wants us to know about him. So I'm talking about his character, the heart of God, that he's not just God the creator, he is God the Father, God your Father, God my Father. And he was like, even in that film, his love for us is even more than that film. It's even greater. And the fact is, there's no measure. There's no measure to his goodness, and there's no measure to his love. And he was showing me, he was like, that breaking of the door, that breaking of the chains, it's like God will fight for you. Doesn't matter what you've gone through, your injustice, your circumstances. And do you know what? The biggest lie of the enemy is to be like, God isn't good. You know, look at all this stuff that you've gone through in your life. Look at that. You know, look at what's happening in the world today. And I just want to make it really plain and clear. God is not blind to those things. He is in those things. And he has spoken to me about about his heart for it and compassion for it. And he is a God of justice. It is in the word is truth. He is a God of justice. And unfortunately, we live in a world where there's evilness in it, and there's broken people, and hurt people will hurt others, and like broken people, you know, will cause destruction. Because when you don't know what you live for, when you don't know who you are, you're going to run to other things. I'm just putting it out there, you are going to do that, because there's no place to fit your worth. Like, it's like, we are so blind, like we are such a lost world, we forget, and God is here to show us the truth, and he leaves us so much to leave us as where we are. So yeah, I had that vision, and I was reminded of God's love for us, and he is a father that will fight for us. I didn't even have to call out to him, and he saved me from that. And I felt not just so much better, but I had like a fire was reignited in me to remember like that he is goodness. Because I think a lot of the time we hear about God and we think, oh, apparently he's good, or even if you're Christian, like, oh, it says in the word he's good, therefore he's good. And God was really saying to me, it's not just about the words written in the Bible. Like, if you're going to read the words in the Bible and then you're just going to leave it as that, and you're going to know it in your head, it's not enough. Because the thing is, we forget that he is truth and the word is truth, but the word became flesh, right? So if he's saying he is good and all this goodness about him, you know, it's not about, there's aspects of God that are good, like that is his identity. And if we don't tap into that, we're going to be so blind. We're going to be blind by what the enemy is trying to say. And guys, I'm just going to be real with you. So the reason why I'm saying this so passionately about God's goodness it's not just because I follow something religious. It's not because I've read some words in a text and gone, oh, that's great. Oh, what a nice little storybook. Like, no. The thing is, to put it plainly, when you become a Christian, you are a new creation. You are transformed. And I'm going to be like, I'm going to share testimony. I'm going to be real. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I would not be speaking like this now. Like, my old identity would not be doing what I'm doing. I would not be sharing this. And I'll tell you why. So before I was a Christian, or even when I thought I was a Christian but I just didn't have a relationship with God, I cared what people thought. I was timid. I felt like I had no self-worth. I lived my life as if I was invisible, and actually I wanted to be invisible, and I felt insignificant. I felt like I didn't have enough gifts or talent. I just felt like I just wasn't enough, basically, but without realizing it. Because what tends to happen when you don't know Jesus, when you don't know the truth, you live in an identity that you believe is who you are, either from maybe your personality or maybe from like what other people have put on you, and the way you live your life is limited to how you see yourself. So if you see yourself as broken, if you see yourself as not enough, you will live in a way that reflects that you're not enough. Does that make sense? Hopefully it's making sense. And so because of a false identity I had on myself, I lived my life that reflected all those things. And I felt, I guess, like I was trapped like in this box. But the biggest lie of the enemy was that, that's how you're supposed to be. You know, everyone's different. So-and-so's really confident. That's just how they're created. So-and-so's like really beautiful, and that's just blah, blah, blah. And like, we can sort of sit in a false identity thinking that's how we were created to be. Now, don't get me wrong. We all have weaknesses. We all have things about ourselves that like are true. But the difference is, it's not about creating a standard that is very much a man-made, worldwide standard that we have created in society. It's not about being, because that's the thing, when you go to your worth, if you go to the world for your worth, a lot of our generation, it's kind of like, gotta be strong, gotta be confident, you gotta be independent, you gotta be like this and this, and if you're not like that, then we don't care. You know, it's kind of very much, we're very judgmental, let's put it that way. Like, we choose who we want to be friends with, we choose who we want to associate ourselves with, because we think our way is right, and we think that is truth, and we're so diverse, we have different opinions, you know, we have free will, God created us with free will, but you can't find your truth in an opinion, you can't find your truth in something unsturdy. There is only one truth, your truth versus someone else's truth. I like the way their values, I like the way they live their life, but if you forgot that we're not perfect and we are human, so if this person goes, this is truth, but they're flawed, so you're taking your truth from something flawed and something imperfect. If you do believe you're perfect, then I've got a reality for you. Like, no one can be perfect, we've all made mistakes, therefore if you've made a mistake, we are not perfect. And don't get it twisted, we are valuable, and God created us to be perfect, to be like that. But because of the fall and the broken world, we tore that, and sin came in, and sin makes us not perfect. Okay? So just don't get confused by that. We are valuable and we're chosen, but we are not perfect, because if we were, we would literally be God. And there's not one of us that could be worthy enough to be God. So there you go. So lost my train of thought. So yeah, you find your truth in all those other things, and it's not sturdy. And the moment I gave my life to God, you know, everything kind of changed. Your perspective changes when you experience the love of God. It's a tangible thing, guys. It's not a religion. It's not a that makes me feel happy and like that's lovely to have those values. It's not. It is a physical, tangible encounter with the creator, God the creator of the universe. And what he's been saying to me is that you may not know him, but he knows you. You may not love him, but he loves you. You may not care about God. You may not care about it, but he cares about you, because that is the goodness of God. That there's nothing too far for him. No sin he can't, like, love is not a conditional love. The love of God is not conditional. It's unconditional. It doesn't matter what you've done in your past. He doesn't care. He hates sin, but he loves you. Therefore, that vision was showing me he will chase you. And it says in the word of God, it says he leaves the 99 to find the one lost sheep. You are that one lost sheep, my friend. And there's nothing there's no circumstance, there's nothing you can go through in your life that he's not already in there with you. Like, he's everything. He's in the hurt with you. And we forget so much, and I'm guilty of this. We forget the price he paid. We forget that we think God is distant on a bloody cloud, like in the sky, going, oh, I'm so sorry you're suffering down there. No, it's actually alive in the pit of hell, so get that lie out your head. Jesus, he went through every suffering, like and more. Like, he was nailed to the cross, blood was shed, he turned a completely different colour. And you know what's crazy? He would do that even if it saved one person. There's billions of us in the world, and he would do that for one person. And this sounds absolutely twisted, but like, you could be a murderer and he would do it for you. You could still, like, that's what I'm saying, guys. It's not a conditional thing. And when you know that, oh my goodness, your life is gonna change, because everything's temporary, guys. And what I would call eternal glory, eternal victory. And okay, I'm just gonna make this thing clear. So I'm sharing this, right, because going back to how he's transformed my life, right? God is so amazing. And the reason he's so amazing is that he chooses you, right? So to the world, you may not be seen or seen as significant, but he goes, yeah, you struggle with that addiction. Yeah, I'll choose you. Honestly, when you realise that, it blows your mind. The Father's love will blow your mind. And that's why I'm sharing this, because I've got a story. And this is the beautiful thing. Going back to the video I posted about my race, about being mixed race. God was saying to me, Beth, like, everything you have ever thought about yourself to make yourself want to be invisible is everything that I've used to make you visible. So what I mean by that is, even the very physical being of myself makes me stand out. And the fact is, I'm an example of unity. Black and white come together out of love to create a child. That is something to be celebrated. The God of unity, he saw that before I was even born. He said, I'm gonna make my child this race, this colour. I'm gonna, there's a reason we're all unique, which is why it's so pivotal. It's why it's so vital that I'm talking about this in amongst what's going on with the chaos, right? Because yes, for so long there has been this oppression, right? There's been oppression of being black, and it's wrong. Yes, I have done things about this, but I'm sharing this because we need to realize there's a hope, and a greater hope than what the world could ever give you, and that is Jesus. And we are flawed, of course. Like, it's not good that we are hurting each other, but diversity is such an amazing thing to celebrate, because you are unique. You are unique too. You have a part to play in the story that he's given you to transform a broken world. We can't transform a broken world in our own strength. I'm telling you that now. It doesn't matter how much you protest, doesn't matter how much you do something, all those things are great, like peaceful protesting and all that stuff, all those things are great, but without God, without Jesus, it's not enough. Because I'll tell you why. So the people that are the white policemen that have done that over time to black individuals, they are broken themselves, right? And the thing that has to be changed is a heart condition. It's a mindset that needs to be changed. And it's sometimes, no matter how much you say something's wrong, that's not going to be the thing to get evilness out of someone's heart, because I don't know how to explain it, but it's not enough. It's not enough. God literally needs to do heart transplants in a lot of people's lives, and because I'm telling you now, if everyone was saved, if they had an encounter with God, they gave their life to God, like, they wouldn't be doing what they were doing. So the point I'm putting out there is that don't underestimate prayer and worship. Don't underestimate it, because there is a small part that has a big impact that we can do. And that part is, yes, it's good to speak up for justice. Yes, we can't be blind to it. But if you do it in your own strength, out of a fleshly anger, right, you're going to get so far. I don't care what you think about that. That's the truth. Because there has to be something greater to change something that is so broken. You know, racial injustice has been going on for years, and and look how long it's taken. Look how much we've had to fight. And the thing is, there is a level to it where we can make change, and he will use us. But you have to be aware that God is so powerful, and only he can change the hearts of the people that are oppressing other people. Okay, so that's why we have to put our hope in him. That's it. It's plain and simple. But yeah, from all that, he gave me like I say a picture. No, he literally guided my eyes towards my hand, and he spoke to me about physically how we were created. So if you look at our hands and palm of our hands, we have these lines and creases and all these like dents and stuff like that. And I'm not gonna lie, it's not like I've ever looked at my hand and gone, oh, like I've never really like thought about it or noticed it. And God was speaking to me about this, that so the lines in our hands, you know, it looks broken, you know, it looks broken, but they represent different journeys, and we're all part, and they're all connected to our story. So it's not just the joyful moments, but it's like the good with the bad. Like, he wants us to use both our experiences as to know that is part of the story and that's part of the journey. I wrote some things just in case I've like missed something. Yeah, so the lines are like part of our journey. So basically, through the hurt, through the joy, they're all part of our story, our identity, our DNA, how we were created. And that's a beautiful thing. Like, he's saying, like, it's not just part of your story, but it's in our DNA. It's part of how we've been created. There are flaws with, well, I'm gonna say flaws, but there are imperfections which need to be celebrated. And those imperfections are beautiful. So, you know, I did a video one time talking about weakness and saying how the world wouldn't be like, oh, don't celebrate your weaknesses. And it's like, no, like these imperfections, these weaknesses are all a part of the story. They're all a part of your identity and who you are, because his power can show through those weaknesses. Yeah, so the point I want to say to you guys is that God is a loving Father, and I'm going to put a picture up at the end of this video. I think I shared it on Instagram, but basically it's got like, you'll be able to see there's like a little girl holding a small teddy, and there's Jesus with a bigger teddy behind his back. And I just recently discovered that picture again, and it's such a beautiful thing, because at the top it says trust me, and that little girl had to let go of all she had. Like, she thought that was God's best for her life. Like, that teddy bear could represent, I don't know, whatever it is. you know, you might think, oh wow, this job, this relationship, this is the best God has for me, and God's going, no. No, it's not. And sometimes we can hold on to something that's safe and something that's comfortable, and it does take trust and faith to let go of something. But the amazing thing of what happens when we let go is that we get something even bigger, even greater, even better than we could ever imagine. And there's a verse in Ephesians 3 verse 20. I don't want to quote it wrong, but basically, let's see if I wrote it down. It says, if not, I'm about to paraphrase it. It basically says, he can do immeasurably, I can't say that, more than we could ever hope or imagine. I actually think it's on my wall. Yeah, so I'm able to do immeasurably more for you than you could ever imagine. But I would say go look up the verse just because I've paraphrased it wrong. And the point I'm making from that is that God, like, that's mind-blowing, immeasurably more. So basically, we can't measure God's goodness. It's so huge, it's so massive that we can't measure it. We can't measure it, you know? And I think it can be so hard sometimes because you look at your circumstances and you think, when's this going to happen? But this is my reality. And I think we distance ourselves from God and we forget who he is. And I'm telling you now, it's only when I've gone, do you know what? You are truth. Your word can't come back void. You cannot contradict your word. It's when we go, do you know what? I'm not seeing that the circumstances change at the moment, but I'm going to choose to believe that's going to happen in my life. And I'm telling you guys, it's not like, oh, that's very well for you, Beth, but what's actually happened? Well, you know, there's a lot more to come, but he has done so many things. And do you know what? It's so much that I'll have to do another video for it. But he has blessed me. And the thing is, he is a blessing. We can't earn them. It's nothing to do with that. It's simply trusting that he is a good God and he has blessings for us. And I don't know if I said it earlier. I don't know if I did, but it's really, really, really important. This verse in Matthew 7:11, it says, if you then, being evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give good gifts to those who ask him? So that relates to that teddy bear picture. So what this is saying is, even us humans who are not perfect and that have a level of sin, and you know, there is evilness amongst the human generation, even us, even we, you know, even flawed parents know how to give good gifts. And like, it's crazy. Like, for example, you might have a really loving family and you've experienced the goodness of that, and even if your father or mother is like your hero and your, you know, like your everything, the gifts that they give you, God is even greater than that. He's saying how much more. And I think it's so powerful, because you know what it says? It says whether you have had example of a loving parent or family or not, whether you've received good gifts in your life or not, God, you get access to God the Creator. You get access to the best Father you'll ever have. Literally, he will turn your situation and use it for the better. It doesn't, you can't be too far gone for Jesus. You can't. And you know, blessed are the poor in spirit. He's amazing, because all people throughout the Bible have been flawed in some way. Moses, he wasn't perfect. He said, God, how can you use me? How can you use me? I have like a stamina, like, you know, how? And he's one of the most famous, influential people in the Bible. God contradicts what the world tells us. God, he isn't conventional. He doesn't use someone that looks high and mighty. He uses whoever's willing, and he chooses you. That's it. You're enough. So therefore it does not matter if you've never felt enough to anyone else. It doesn't matter, because like, you're going to inherit something much greater. Oh, and I need to say this because I forgot to say this. It's part of the vision. So he doesn't leave us in our brokenness. So I said earlier, I said, you know, he kicked that brick down, he ripped the chains off, and he hugged me. But it doesn't end there. He loves us so much not to leave us as we are. The next part of the vision was that I saw myself getting clothed in a gown and a crown on my head, because sometimes in our brokenness we forget that we are royalty and that our identity is in him, and we're not expected all the time to pick up our own crown and robe and try and make ourselves feel better, but he places it on our head. He says, that's my son, that's my daughter, that's who you are. Doesn't matter what you've gone through, because I've called you. You are blessed and highly favored because I say so. You're my child because I say so. No one can take that away from you. You are my child, and nothing, no evilness, nothing from the enemy can take that away from you. Nothing. And so when so guys, I want to encourage you, he places a robe and a crown on your head. He calls you. When you're sitting in your room struggling with depression, when you're sitting in your room struggling with anxiety, he goes, when you're broken, he goes, no, I love you too much to leave you where you are. Yes, for a time he sits with us in our brokenness, but there's a time for everything, and he doesn't leave us in that broken place, but he goes, no, let's move forward, because I've called you. I've got a purpose for you, and I've given your royal, and you're in my kingdom, and you're my child, and I'm giving you the highest title. You get the biggest medal, you get the highest title. So guys, his love is, you can't measure his love. It's all because of love. So my biggest prayer is that in this chaos, in your hurt, don't sit in that hurt. Just know that God wants to take you out into a new season. He's bringing all things new. There's a lot going on, but God's really spoken to me to be like, new things are happening. New things. He gives you a new name, a new title, a new identity, new garments. Take off the raggedy garments. That's not who you are. He's not called you that way. Yeah, I could go on, so I'm gonna kind of end it here. It's a bit all over the place, but I just want to leave you with something I've just seen in my notes before I finish. And God was reminding me of the song. If you've not, maybe I'll put a link to this song, and it's called Good Father. And the lines God was giving me from that song was, you know, you're good Father, it's who you are, it's who you are, it's who you are, and I'm loved by you, it's who I am, it's who I am, it's who I am. And God was reminding me that he's not, being good isn't just a part of him, he is that. He is that. That is his identity, whether you believe it or not. And because of that, because he is good and because he loves us, it's who we are. We're loved by him. That is who we are. We are in partnership with God, the creator of the universe. We are a royal priesthood. That's who we are. Whether you believe that or not, but my biggest prayer is that you'll know that today. Honestly, knock and the door will be opened. Seek and you will find. If you want God to reveal himself, he will. And get ready. That's all I can say. Get ready for an encounter with Jesus.